Hello, Cubs fans, and welcome to a brand new edition of Cubs on Tap. I am Ron Luce, joining you live following the Cubs' 5-3 victory over the Cincinnati Reds. That victory here on Thursday night not only clinches 3 out of 4 over this Reds team, but the Cubbies are hot. 13 out of their last 16 now for the Chicago Cubs. You guys know me. I'm Ron Luce, joined by me, myself, and I this evening. The rest of the boys were a little tied up with some things going on today, so we're still coming to you live. We're going to have a great show here today. If you're watching along with us on Twitter, you want to get in the conversation here and talk to me in the comments, just as my friend Mr. Jeremiah does here. The Reds broadcasters are such homers. As always, they're absolutely brutal. I am right there with you, buddy. But if you want to join us in the conversation, head over to the On Tap Sportsnet YouTube channel. Hit subscribe, hit the little ringer bell button. That way you know when all of our great shows go live, but especially when us here at Cubs on Tap go live. Because, ladies and gentlemen, we're going streak, and this Cubs team is fun as hell. I still have a bone to pick with the Chicago Cubs, in case you didn't know. I was in the attendance on Monday. I have a pretty good record at Cubs games this year. But that team couldn't give me one of the 40 runs that they scored over the, 41 runs that they scored over the next 3 games to use to get the win in a sweep with a win on Monday. So neither here nor there. Jeremiah and Scott here in the comments. Scott says, Morel and Gomes go 0 for the game. Nobody got more than 1 hit. Offense is in shambles. It feels weird, right? After the offensive onslaught for this team to do what they did tonight. And Jeremiah says, hashtag where's everyone? Well, I'll tell you what. I am in the clouds right now, ladies and gentlemen, because this Cubs team is a lot of fun. As Scott mentioned tonight, 7 hits for the Cubs, 5 runs on those 7 hits. And yeah, no player had more than 1 hit tonight. Candelario had 1 hit, Madrigal had 1 hit, and then Swanson, Bellinger, Happ, Horner, Talkman all had 1 hit. Ian Happ with 2 walks tonight. Swanson, Morel, Candelario all with a walk as well. A couple of RBIs there as well. Morel walked in an RBI, obviously, as did Candelario, that really put the Cubs out in front in this one. Belly had a big RBI, as did Ian Happ earlier in the game with Nico on base. A lot of good things happening. And here's what I think about this game in terms of the offense. Again, I know Scott's being a little, having a little, satire here, right? But it just goes to show that this offense feels like they're hitting their stride in the way where they can come through in big moments. And I think we saw that tonight, right? Just 7 hits as a team. Nobody had more than 1 hit. It was a very pedestrian offensive effort, again, especially considering what we just saw the last 2 games. But they managed to get it done in crucial situations. This Cubs team is hitting again with timely hitting. And I think that's the big key, right? That's what we saw a lot of from this Cubs team back in April. It was timely hitting. And that's why they were in the position that they were entering May before that kind of rough month skid that they ended up going on there. With everything, in everything that was going on in terms of the offense being cold, they are finally back. They are finally back. They are finally taking care of business in a timely manner when it comes to the offense. Just look at tonight, right? Nico Horner, double, gets on base. What does Ian Happ do right after him? Double to drive him in. That is timely hitting. Next time up, Belly delivers with a couple guys on. He drives in a run. That's another case of timely hitting. The 2 walks, sure, not timely hits, quote unquote, but still productive walks. Christopher Morel with an unbelievable at-bat, rallying back like the way he did to take that walk with the bases juiced, walks in a run. Candelario, same thing, walks in a run. And then in the 8th, I think the 8th was the perfect example of what this Cubs team has done lately. And that is whether they're down, whether they need insurance runs, whatever it might be, this Cubs team manages to come through in the clutch when they absolutely need to. And they did that. They did that in the 8th inning, right? They, get things going. Dansby with the big ground rule double to get things started. He moves over on the following base hit then. I don't know why I'm drawing such a blank on who it was. From Candelario. Long night, folks. Base hit then from Candelario makes it 1st and 3rd with 1 out. And what does Yan Gomes do? He doesn't try to be a hero. He doesn't try to turn around and be get the 3-run bomb and then strike out. No, he puts a ball up in the air into right field. The easiest sac fly in the book, right? The hardest throw to make from right field, especially from deep right. It's exactly what he did. That is timely hitting. That is knowing the situation, knowing the Cubs could absolutely use an insurance run after being up 4-1, and then the Reds storming back with their 2 runs that they got. And they took care of business. And then Adbert Alzolay is just filthy. And we'll get to the pitching here in a second. Lots of comments. Appreciate you guys jumping in here on the conversation. Jeremiah says, you're welcome to Milwaukee for now. Yes, the Milwaukee Brewers, as a result of tonight's game, move into first place officially with a half-game lead. Cubs now just 2.5 out in the division right now. Scott saying here, if this team takes 2 of 3 or better against the Braves, so either 2 or 3 or a sweep, he's going to talk himself into a World Series trip. I mean, you know, Scott, I don't think that's entirely outlandish. I really don't. And I think that might catch a lot of people off guard because this Cubs team has what it takes to win in the playoffs. If you look at the playoffs every single year, they found slug. Christopher Morel slugs. Dansby Swanson has been slugging. Cody Bellinger can slug. They can slug. They can get on base. We've seen that. A lot of guys on this team are good at taking walks, right? Mike Tauchman has been an on-base machine all season long. Ian Happ has taken a ton of walks despite his struggles at the plate. And then you factor in the defense. I think the defense is the biggest piece. This is a completely cut. The 2016 Cubs were one of the best defensive teams in baseball. There's a big reason they were as good as they were that year. And sure, maybe this Cubs team isn't as deep, but I think the one thing this Cubs team has that maybe that other Cubs team didn't have was just some of these veterans, because the veterans on that team weren't the workhorses. They weren't the guys delivering night in and night out per se, right? Obviously, Ben Zobrist was a huge part of that team. John Lester was a huge part of that team. But like David Ross was typically only catching more often than not for John Lester. He would catch, Arrieta every once in a while. Obviously, he caught Arrieta's no-hitter, etc. But it wasn't like the veterans, the wily vets weren't like throwing the team on their back, right? It was the Rizzos, it was the Bryants, it was the Baez's, it was the Addison Russells of that time, it was the Wilson Contrerases, etc., that were getting the job done. Now, it really is kind of the vets that have kind of taken the rest of the team and said, let's go. We're going. And you're either coming with us or you're getting left behind. Dansby has been lights out since returning from the IL. Absolutely lights out. The guy is playing out of his mind baseball right now. Talk about a competitor, a guy that just wants to consistently win on a night in and night out basis. He's getting it done every single day at the dish since returning from that injury. Perhaps one of the hottest hitters in baseball in that time period. Cody Bellinger, fresh off an NL Player of the Month nod. 400 is what he bat during the month. An 1124 OPS. That's MVP level Cody Bellinger again. And then you look at some of the other pieces on this team that are in the position right now to carry them the way they're. Heimer Candelario, right? We talked about his full circle moment on Tuesday between Juice and I, coming in and being able to provide this thing. He's got 9 hits. Like Juice says here in the comments, team does the little things that what it takes to win. There's a lot of having fun watching this team, like Hank says here. Are we not entertained? As Mr. Redbeard says. Bert has been absolute nails, for sure. The bench guys came in, in 16 when their number was called. Guys like Miggy, yeah. And we're kind of seeing that a little bit this year. Mike Tauchman is a perfect example of that. A guy that's come through, especially in the pinch hit. That guy's been a pinch hit just nemesis for pitchers so far this season. We've seen it with guys like Nick Madrigal. We've seen them get the depth support that they absolutely need in a lot of these scenarios. We really have. It's been impressive. This Cubs team, Scott, to your point again, will they win the World Series? Chances tell you no, right? But just like in the Avengers, right? There was that one time lapse where it happened, where they defeated Thanos. This Cubs team has what it takes. Can they just be the hottest team in baseball when October rolls around? That's really what it comes down to. Can they pitch? Are they healthy? And can they get this timely hitting and play defense? If they can do that, I won't say never. I'll say it's unlikely, but I won't say never. They have what it takes. I'll tell you, guys, it has been a sensational run that this Cubs team is on. This was a fun series to watch. Obviously, the offensive onslaughts were fun. To me, though, tonight's game was the one that kind of put it all together, right? Yes, we love the big offense. We love, 36 runs in 2 games. Don't get me wrong. I enjoyed every single second of it. Very, very low stress victories. Those are fun. But it's games like tonight where you see the whole package, I think, of what this team can offer come together. And that's what gets me as a Cubs fan excited. I know that gets all the other Cubs on Tap boys excited as well. Because that is what it's going to take to truly win this division and make the playoffs. Christopher Morel called this shot, by the way, in case anybody forgot about that last night. He called the shot. He said, this team's making the playoffs. It's nights like tonight that show that, right? Big at-bats. Even though Christopher Morel's walk was his best at-bat, just like Scott says here, the most impressive at-bat was Morel's walk. Because that's a high leverage situation. You're down in the count early. You work back, you fight, and then you force the guy to throw a pitch he doesn't want to throw, and you take the walk, and a run gets walked in to take the lead at the time. And then they followed up with another insurance run off Candelario's walk. And then again, we talked through the 8th already, right? Yan Gomes coming through with the big sac fly there. Let's talk a little bit about the pitching, though, right? We've nauseated over the bats so far tonight, and it was well worth it. Don't get me twisted. Jameson Taillon, early in this game, did not have his best stuff. Plain and simple, right? Just did not have his best stuff. But the difference between this Jameson Taillon that we're seeing now, through the month of July, into tonight's start, the version of Jameson Taillon that we are seeing now is exactly the version of Jameson Taillon this team needs. Sure, he only gave you 5 innings tonight. Would you have liked him to go on 6? Absolutely. Would have loved Jameson to get a quality start. But the fact that he threw as many pitches as he did, he was at 47 pitches through 2 innings. And somehow he managed to get out of this game throwing 92 pitches through 5. That's fantastic. That's efficiency. That's getting your head on straight and saying, I don't have my best stuff tonight. I'm not doing exactly what it is that I wanted to do, but I'm going to battle and give this team a chance to win. And Jameson Taillon did exactly that tonight. 5 innings of work, the 7 hits, just the 2 earned runs, one of them being off that home run. Only walked 2, K'd 5. I'll tell you what. We talked about it as a group here at Cubs on Tap. Not every pitcher is going to have their best stuff every single day. That's just the nature of the beast. That's why we're such big fans of Justin Steele, friend of the program. Because when he's not on and doesn't have his best stuff, he still battles. And you see it. You can see when he's fighting himself a little bit, but he's just battling. He's giving you his best that he has that day. That's what Jameson Taillon did today. And I'll take that. I will take that 5 days out of the week, plus Saturday, plus Sunday, plus an imaginary day you want to throw up there. That was fantastic stuff tonight from Jameson Taillon. Like this start, to me, again, going back to why this game to me was the most impressive of the series. The offense is great. It's fun. It's awesome when you're winning by double-digit runs. It's even more impressive, though, when you're in a tight ball game and everybody on the team can do exactly what they need to do in certain clutch moments to get the victory. Because, again, that's what winning ball clubs do. Winning ball clubs don't just slug their way to, the top. Sometimes they do, if they're truly that deep and they just have what it takes. But this Cubs team, right, we've seen it all year. They're one of the most fascinating offenses in baseball. For a long time, they were below 500, yet they had the second highest scoring offense in terms of 10-plus run games at one point in the middle of July. In the middle of July, coming out of the All-Star break, they were second in the league, first in the NL in 10-plus run games. Only Texas had more than them in the entire league. They had more than the Braves. They had more than the Tampa Bay Rays, who for the first half of the season were two of the best offenses in the league. Now, the Cubs are still doing it. They're the best in the NL still. I don't know if they've caught Texas yet because Texas is just an offensive juggernaut right now. But that doesn't matter. Truly, at the end of the day, what matters is they get the job done in these tight games. And Tyone did that exact thing tonight. Love what I saw to Jameson Tyone. Kudos to him. He's back to 500 as a pitcher. Talk about a guy who has battled, has worked, has gotten his head on straight. Whatever it was that he was trying to figure out, whether he's tinkering with new grips, new ways that he throws, whatever. He did exactly what he needed to do. He battled tonight. He gave this Cubs team 5 strong innings. He kept them in the ball game. And at the end of the day, especially when your pitcher doesn't have his best stuff, that's all you can ask for. And he did exactly that. And then he turned it over to Mark Leiter Jr., who was absolutely beautiful. 1 2/3 for his 19th hold of the season. Perfect 1 2/3, I might add. 4 punch outs as well. Again, talk about a guy. We're starting to see the bullpen come together. Guys are finding their roles. Guys are figuring out what they do best. Man, Mark Leiter Jr. is killing it in that 6, 7, sometimes 8 role. He has found his groove. He did fantastic. Merriweather comes in. Sure, he gives up the home run, but 3 Ks from him. He doesn't walk anybody in his inning of work. And then Adbert Alzolay. 2 strikeouts, 4 outs of perfect baseball. And another save for Mr. Nasty Adbert Alzolay. That's number 13 on the season now as the closer. As Chief Redbeard said here a little bit earlier. Good to see you again, brother. We missed you in the comments, my friend. Good to see you. Bird has been nails. Bird has been nails. He's been fantastic. He has taken that closer role and he has owned it. You know, early in the season, obviously Fulmer was going to get the look. He was the guy coming off of, being a closer, being a very good closer at that. But Adbert was finally given the chance, right? Adbert early in the season, remember everyone, was a 3 inning guy. And then they said, you know what, Adbert? We need you to start shutting down games. And he said, I got you, coach. And he's done just that. And he's been absolute nails, just like Chief Redbeard says here in the comments. Absolute nails. That slider, gross. The fastball, gross. Give him a little sidestep and a shuffle. It's all gross. Adbert Alzolay, sensational once again tonight in getting the job done. I mean, this is a complete game. This was a complete game from the Chicago Cubs. They took care of business. This is a good Reds team. Cubs are 3 games above 500 now. They're in this division. And they're the hottest team in baseball right now. They came out of the All-Star break on a mission. I would love to know if there was, a departure meeting, something like that, just with the whole team. And they said, hey, get ready, get right, and get healthy. Because we're going on a run. We're going to turn this thing around in the second half, and we're going to play meaningful competitive baseball late into the season. And they're doing it. And they're coming through when it matters most. And again, back to the defense. Jeremiah is saying here, Hap had a great catch tonight against the wall. Absolutely. The defense continues to come through on a nightly basis. The offense is coming through on a nightly basis. And like Juice says here in the comments, he says, I'll say this week, they put the NL Central on notice if they take 2 of 3 this weekend. They put the league on notice. 100%. Yeah, the NL Central's on notice this week. They took down the Reds. 3 of 4. And again, we're in it on Monday night. I mean, they had multiple opportunities to win that game. Multiple opportunities. And you had an unhealthy Stroh, who's now on the IL. And they still were right there at the end. Right there at the end. The NL Central's on notice. If I'm the Brewers, I'm scared. If I'm the Reds, I'm scared. This Cubs team is the best team in the NL Central. We knew that coming into the season, but they're playing like it now. They're finally playing like it now, and we're really starting to see what this team can do when they're playing the way they were constructed to play. Timely hitting, good defense, pitch well. And they've done it. And they've been absolutely a complete baseball team the whole way through here so far. And yeah, you got a big one coming up this weekend. But I want to give some final thoughts before we go ahead and we look to this upcoming series with the Braves. It's a big one. I'll be there in attendance on Sunday, assuming the weather cooperates. I know there's a chance of rain, so we'll tentatively say I have tickets to be there. This Cubs team has built a ton of momentum out of the break. I mean, they came out of the break, they lost 2 out of 3 to the Red Sox. But since then, they have not looked back. Not at all looked back. They are taking care of business. And it's exactly what you want to see. If I'm the NL Central, I am scared. Just like Juice said. And I'll tell you what, if they do meaningful damage against a very good Braves team this weekend, the rest of the league's going to start looking around and going, shit, what the hell's going on the north side of Chicago? Because this Cubs team's playing some meaningful, they're going to play meaningful baseball down the stretch. And again, if they can stay hot and they can play the way that they're built to play, if I'm any team in MLB, I'm scared. I don't want to see this team in the playoffs if they're playing like this. Plain and simple. If they're playing like this, I go, all right, we're in for a battle. Chicago Cubs are for real, folks. We learned it this week. And now they just need to keep playing like the way they've played. Because they're showing people what they can do when they play the way that they can absolutely play. Like Jeremiah says, feels like we could win a series against anyone. I think it does feel like they can win a series against anybody. It really does. It's crazy to think. But this Cubs team is absolutely rolling. Those are my final thoughts. Again, tonight, this was the most impressive one of the series. 36 runs in 2 games is really cool. Don't get me wrong. Loved every single second of it. I'll probably watch the highlights of those 2 games for at least a week. Tonight was the most complete baseball game that they played because the offense, nobody had more than 1 hit, but it was timely hitting. Jameson Tyone